mentioned that food stamps are up to 45 million.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 45 million users of
People are
receiving food stamps? And you mentioned that you want to find a way or to ensure that the people aren't abusing the system.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example, because obviously that's what you do. You find the waste and you
Mm-hmm.
you resolve that issue. But how would you do that with food stamps?
Well, I think we're back to the Department of Agriculture and any of the departments in Washington, particularly when you have bureaucrats involved in it. They tend to create a lot of unnecessary regulations, a lot of forms, a lot of techniques that ensure their jobs but don't necessarily make it easier for the people. I have no desire to remove food stamps from the program. I just want to get rid of the bureaucratic overhead and that sort of thing, because we always need to have a backstop for the people who need food stamps and other assistance. The way I like to say it is we want to give people a hand up, not a handout. But in the case of food stamps, for particular, that is a program that I think people do need. Mm-hmm. All right, but I have yet to go into any corporation, and that's kind of been my expertise, going into a corporation looking for opportunities to get rid of waste and cut costs and streamline things and make sure that things are flowing the way they should be. And there's no doubt from various sources that I've heard that in food stamps is just one of hundreds of programs. Right. But no, food stamps are themselves, in and of themselves, are fine.
Well, it's the abuse of welfare.
Right.
Some people have mentioned that if anyone receives any sort of government assistance, that they should qualify through drug testing. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's a good idea, but I'm not certain that the instant they're drug tested that you cut them out. I think that's the point when you say to them, okay, here's what you need to do to fix it, mm-hmm. All right? And then give them a proper time and a proper actions to take to fix that, but not for a long time, all right? So I guess that's probably where I do differ a little bit, because I know some candidates and people who say, well, the minute they're drug tested, you cut them off right there, and I'm not sure that that's the best approach.
You lived in San Antonio. You experienced life in a majority Hispanic mm-hmm. Region. By 2020, the entire state's supposed to be a majority. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of movement to grow the Hispanic community grow the Republican Party with the Hispanic community.
Sure. Rightfully so.
Have you put much thought to that and how the party could do that more effectively?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the communication. As I go around and speak to different people, I realize what they don't know. All right, and I think throughout the state in any group, whether it's Hispanic or whatever, we have a real education problem. We have a national media, particularly the popular media, that gives a lot of misinformation, and we don't really have the voice, I think, to get a lot of the other side of it. So first of all, I would say it's information. All right. So things like you're doing here are very appropriate. Now you can use the web and blogs and all sorts of things that the national media, they can't stop or interfere, and that's where good communication is. But when I was at USA, well, let me back up a little.
Okay.
Do you realize why so many call centers are in San Antonio?
Probably USA? Because of bilingual, the number of people that speak Spanish.
That's only part of the reason. All right. Part of it is the culture of San Antonio, and part of that is a Hispanic culture. Mm-hmm. You have so many that have moved in there because they like the way the Hispanic culture works over the telephone, frankly. All right, as a result, at USAA, it was wonderful because you could communicate. USAA's majority of its workforce is Hispanic, and the communications there were great. The culture is great. The reason USAA is so great has a lot to do with the Hispanic culture. All right, and so what you're doing here, in addition to some of the other things that people are doing either through some of the other media sources, I think the best thing is education. And then we need to get out and share our message and talk to people.
And if there's people in the party that don't understand really what the Hispanic community has to offer, what would you say to them?
Repeat the question.
If there were people in the party who don't really understand what's coming with the Hispanic growth in Texas, and old guard, and how to be more inclusive of these new people that may be coming to the party for the first time.
Frankly, I don't understand them. I mean, are they not looking around? Do they not see? You know, I think that is just ignorance. You know, maybe it's naive, maybe it's just not paying attention, but and I guess coming from San Antonio, I mean, you'd have to be extremely blind to not understand this sort of thing.
Right.
You know,
right.
And of course, having worked in San Antonio and with many Hispanics, both as my boss, you know, the CEO of USAA is Joe Robles, who is Hispanic. All right. So it's hard for me to identify with people who don't understand this thing. So.